with all of us being really, really busy with E3, we sort of neglected reviewing a couple of games. And for that reason, we're doing the second part of our good, bad, and ugly series, although this time it's probably more like the good, the meh, and the sort of meh.
Probably right.
So, first game, Red Faction Armageddon.
Yes. This game, of course, is kind of the sequel to Red Faction Guerrilla, which was the restart for Red Faction series by Volition. And I really like Guerrilla. It was just a great open world game where you could just go out, destroy things, and looked really good. And it was the sort of open world game that you could actually pick up and play for like half an hour and put it down again, which I really liked. And they more or less completely screwed that up in the sequel.
How?
They made it into a corridor shooter, which of course means that there isn't like these huge spaces, or at least not as many of them, for the destruction of the game, which like is the backbone of the game. And that makes it into much more of a just ordinary third-person shooter, and that in no way or shape fits the game.
So we can safely skip Red Faction Armageddon?
I would definitely say so. If you would like some Red Faction action, go for Guerrilla. But you, on the other hand, played Alice.
Yes, Madness Returns.
And
this title, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a sequel to a game that came out like 10, 11 years ago.
Yep.
And you know, the problem with doing a sequel for a game that's that old is, you know, building on that story that no one really can remember. Gets a little confusing. But in essence, it's a platform game, action platformer with some decent combat system, some pretty inspired level design once in a while,
and some really effed up visuals.
Actually, not as effed up as I expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the trailers and all the promo material really sort of made it out to be like this crazy, violent, gory, insane type vision of the original story, and it's not as much.
Okay.
It's still it's weird. It's Wonderland, of course it's weird, but the really gory parts and all that stuff you don't really get to that until like late parts of the game.
Okay.
So most of the time it's just it's bizarre and it's confusing, and the story doesn't make a lot of sense, and you have to really pay attention to understand what's going on. It's not that well told, but the basic platforming elements, the combat system, those parts work really well. There's a problem with it gets most of the there's like 6 chapters, all of them have their own sort of visual theme, and they go on for really long.
Yeah,
it's a fairly long game by today's standards, which is not a bad thing. It's just that I might have preferred if it had like 8 chapters, so because every one of them takes like an hour and a half to finish, and then by the time you get and the one Armageddon, you just sort of start wishing, yes, I'd like to move on to something new now, but still. It's quite all right.
Okay, that's a glowing thing to say.
It's not perfect, but I had fun.
Yeah, okay. That's more than can be said for my experience with F.E.A.R 3. Or that may seem kind of harsh. I really like Monolith, who did the previous F.E.A.R games and started the series and everything. And
but didn't work on this one.
No, but didn't work on this one. And it's not the reason why I don't like the new game, it has to be said. But the F.E.A.R series, of course, lived on horror, and whether you like, a little girl Alma going around and going crazy and just tearing people apart, and zombie armies and stuff like that, whether you find that like horrific is up to you. But I can't imagine that anyone will find the new game just any kind of scary. And on top of that, the shooting mechanics are kind of like weak. The weapons just feel strange. And it more or less seems that everything that was good about the previous games have just sort of been messed up. I mean, it's not completely terrible or anything. The game is playable from start to finish in co-op, for instance, which of course is something we like. And there are 2 different characters, so every time you have completed a level with the Point Man, he's called, you can also play the level as Paxton Fatal, and that is actually a kind of cool gimmick because he can like overtake people and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. But all in all, I have to say that I'm really disappointed by it, and for the life of me, I can't really imagine why so many so many other sites and magazines have really liked the game. So, but that's just me. It just wasn't the game I was hoping for, and wasn't the game I was expecting.
So that's it for this edition of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. We will resume our regular review schedule now. And stay tuned for more stuff from E3 because we still have a ton of stuff left from there. So